Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Magda Kolesinski, and today I'm absolutely thrilled to be speaking to Alexander Everett, the CEO of Naked Kitchens, a premium bespoke furniture brand practically rewriting the playbook on how a furniture business should operate. In this episode, Alex walks us through his journey from the factory floor to CEO, how Naked grew 20% last year while the whole sector contracted by 15%, and most importantly for you, how that growth happened. Today, we dig into why physical showrooms and human connection remain the secret sauce for furniture businesses in the digital first world, the real cost of building a furniture business like a tech startup, and what's actually happening in the sector right now, and why some furniture brands won't survive the next 12 months. Let's dig in. Hello, Alex. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm very excited to hear all about Naked and the developments of the business. But let's start with giving you some space to introduce yourself and the brand.
Perfect. Hi, Magda. Thank you very much for having me. So I'm Alexander. I'm the CEO of Naked Kitchens. We're a bespoke furniture retailer and manufacturer. So we have our manufacturing operation in Norfolk, where the business started, and showrooms now throughout the country.
And could you tell us a little bit about how the business started, how old it is, what sort of stage of growth you're at?
Yeah, so we started 20 years ago. So my parents founded the business. It was originally Norfolk oak, so we just specialized in solid worktops, predominantly oak and walnut, and it slowly moved over to becoming more kind of whole package as such, moving into kitchens in around 2014. And then I started getting involved in the business around 2018, 19, and from the manufacturing side, actually, and have been very involved, well, ever since, obviously, in running the businesses for the last 2.5 years now.
Could you tell us a little bit more about your journey in within the business? So you say you started from the manufacturing side of things, and what
Yeah.
were your roles to start with? That's fascinating.
Yeah, so I first got involved when really kind of actually at the beginning of COVID, so whenever that was, and we were just really struggling getting the work through the factory, getting it out the door, and getting it delivered with the obvious complications that COVID provided at the time. So I really started right down kind of on the bench joinery, and then operating all of the machines, just trying to be a hand in kind of any department that kind of required some more effort at that time, and really fell in love with it. Building something, and then just understanding what the business did. Started to learn about the whole business, and really wanted to then get more involved at a higher level and progress from there. Really.
That's fantastic. It's not that you just took over CEO, but you started from a very practical side of things, and you know everything about this business. So this is wonderful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was never the intention to get involved, ironically, in the business. I think
really, really,
when
why
I
not?
talked to my parents, gosh, well, years ago, just when I was at school, it was never the route, and COVID really changed all of that. It's a family business, obviously still is. And I mean, we all mucked in, and school holidays and weekends, you'd be in there trying to do whatever it took really to just make the cogs always move in the right direction.
But that's fantastic. So what changed your mind? So it wasn't the intention. You started helping out, and then what?
Yeah, I think having the exposure in the workshop side to see and really understand what the business did really excited me, and just understanding what I believed at the time, its kind of potential to move forward and grow. And a lot of people, think, of course, it's cabinetry manufacturing, but really there's so much more to it than that, and having that full exposure of all of the activities in what it takes to kind of run such a vertically integrated business just really excited me with the challenge of it all.
Amazing. So what is the most exciting thing about your job now?
It's a good question. I would say the opportunities that present itself in so many different areas and ways of materializing and identifying those areas, putting together an action plan, probably from a senior level to begin with our SLT, and then down throughout the whole business and seeing it come to fruition and executing that plan. That's what excites me the most, is understanding the future landscape of the business, our vision, our goals, and actually how that's going to work.
And so who is the customer and who is it not? Who are you guys making the furniture for?
Our customers, demographically, a lot are in London. About 75% is London, Greater London, and home counties I kind of classify in that as well. Our customers are the design led, very savvy shopper, someone who can really understand what we're doing. And we articulate that, of course, throughout our touch points, but buying into the brand, wanting something different.
Hmm. And in how why would they choose Naked over your competitors? What's the do you ask that question? What do you think it is with Naked that pulls your customers towards your brand?
I think ultimately when people engage with us throughout the design process, it's a very long process. It's time consuming. It has a long consideration phase. When you meet us, you come into the showrooms and you understand who we are, what the product is, and what the brand is and what it stands for. I think you really get a sense of the fact that we don't believe in limitations.
Mm.
There's no barrier to what you can do in all senses, whether that's the physical sense of the design and how the kitchen is going to be, and also throughout the rest of the process. So whether someone comes in and says, "Oh, well, I'd love this for my holiday house in Spain," and we've never exported a kitchen to Spain, we'll figure that out. We'll work that out. And so that understanding that there are no preset barriers to what we can or cannot do, we will always challenge ourselves to do it and make it all work.
So I guess your customers must be very creative and they must want
Absolutely.
those visions to life. That's brilliant. And so if we're talking about customers, who is it that's definitely not your customer?
Who's not our customer? I would say our customer is not someone who expects any sale or discount period. We never put on a sale. I'm afraid the prices only ever go up once a year. There's never a sale period or discounted rates. So if you are that customer that gets a bit of a buzz out of getting it discounted and feeling on top, unfortunately, we're probably not the company for you.
Okay, that's very clear. Well, it's that's the value of the brand and the true value of what you make. And so let's reflect a little bit on 2025. It's been an incredibly tough year on so many brands, and especially on the kitchens sector. It's been particularly tough. I think the sector's actually shrunk quite a bit, right? It's been a double digit drop in total sales in the UK, hasn't it? Um,
Yeah, I've seen some reports in the kind of 15 to 20% region on shrinking.
that's massive, right? And how did you
Yeah.
guys do?
We had a very challenging year. There's a lot of battles being fought on a lot of fronts, but a very successful year. So we grew on the kitchen side of the business at about 20% last year, with a lot of expansion, more showrooms, taking a head office, more people, more process. But a very yeah, reflecting on 2025, a very successful year for us as a business.
Fantastic. So even though it was challenging, it was a double digit growth for you against a double digit drop for the market. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
The
Yeah,
whole
no, we're
team.
all pretty happy with it.
That's great. So what do you think is the biggest win of last year for you?
Biggest win. I think taking our new office in London and Chelsea has transformed the business, and it's kind of unlocked the next growth stage. I think for us as we power through with now multiple brands and different offerings. I'd say it was a long process negotiating on the lease of this office, and having taken it to now act as a platform for growth for our London team has been really exciting to see come to life.
Great. And why has it been such a win for you? Why has it been, obviously, in the times where more and more brands work more and more remotely, or the teams are sort of located in various locations and dispersed geographically? Why has this been such an important element of the strategy?
It's, I mean, first of all, taking the office, I really had to weigh up, obviously, the cost, the operational cost of an office space, and what size of office we require. Because at the time, you probably would have looked at the decision and thought, wow, he's taking a pretty big office space. He doesn't have enough people to fill it with. And so, taking that view of our growth strategy and the growth of people, within the teams, I was very happy that it has come off, that our targets were met, and our growth trajectory is where it is. And so, having the people and the atmosphere in here just being incredibly lively, and every time getting in, there's definitely just this huge sense of collaborative energy between all of the teams, marketing, CAD, sales, admins, etc. It's a very fun office to be a part of. And I think there is, of course, a work from home culture in London. But I think when people come into the office and have those relationships with all of their contemporaries, it's just lovely.
And do you have a sort of flexible working policy in the business, or do you prefer everybody in the office?
That it's dependent on department
Okay.
in London. So for our sales designers, obviously being front of house, and even if they're in our head office, in Chelsea, it's a 5 minute walk to the showroom. So they're always in office 5 days, because they'll be having physical meetings with clients in the showroom. Other departments, there has been some flexibility allowed there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody expects that now. And what about any challenges of last year or surprises?
Um, sort of surprises. I think probably one of the greatest shocks we had was waking up to an article that said there was going to be a 50% tariff on cabinets to the US. That was a bit of a shock. I mean, obviously we consider ourselves a bit of a niche, being in furniture and cabinet makers, and to see it was pharmaceuticals being the top headline of whatever value of import goods that was, and then cabinetry. That was certainly a little bit of a shock. But I think there's been plenty of surprises last year, and some big news in the industry already coming out at the beginning of this year, with Magnet having been sold to private equity, and then Moore's Furniture being bought by Wren Kitchens as well. I think last month in a pre-pack. So yeah, there's constantly new challenges and surprises. I mean, almost on a daily basis at the moment.
Yes, it is never boring. What about AI? Everybody talks about AI everywhere in all sorts of facets of life. And how are you seeing AI change the kitchens and furniture sector?
Yeah, so we've put out a bit of an AI roadmap, and how we believe that's going to affect us. Maybe affect is actually the wrong term. How we can really use it as a resource and as a tool to the best of our advantage, to ultimately enhance our customer experience, and understanding where we really don't want to use AI. So the showrooms, phone calls, those all of those incredibly important touch points. I don't believe that I will ever have an AI chatbot engaging with one of our customers. That's just not who we are as a brand. But then from a design side, aiding in that process to make it more precise, maybe enhance the design in areas that weren't considered. there are definitely rooms for improvements there. And also just trying to accelerate and speed up our process so that we can ultimately have shorter lead times. And again, it's always around the customer experience. And if it can enhance the customer experience, that's always question number one as to whether we should be doing or having a look at the feasibility of a project. That's always what's considered first.
Perfect. And you mentioned that you're not going to experiment with AI at this point with customer service for the obvious reasons. Do you see
Yes.
happening a lot in the sector in your competitors and in other brands?
Um, I haven't really gone out there and seen what other companies are using. I would expect your more kind of standard offerings, kind of more off the shelf ranges. I'm sure IKEA is utilizing AI for its processing of calls, for example, and at far larger scales. I would presume that that's being used heavily, and it would make sense to do so because you could train up that AI to understand your select product library and catalog, and there's no kind of deviation from that. Whereas for us, of course, it would be very contradictory to have that and also not believe in limitations.
That's a fair point. Yeah. So, and what about AI image generation or content generation and marketing? Are you guys utilizing any of these tools?
We are, funnily enough, next week, we're exploring AI rendering. And again, looking at our customer journey and understanding the proposal is one of the most important parts. You get the actual number that the kitchen is going to cost, or your investment, and we need to visually represent that space as accurately as possible. And we know that there is a correlation between having a higher level of render to higher level of conversion. And so we're looking at kind of what AI tools are out there at the moment to take our designs from our 3D planner system and render those through the new Gemini image rendering package.
Oh, fantastic. A lot of brands are sort of wary of the sort of accuracy not being there, of the quality, or actually of AI creating misleading
Mm.
elements of the image, which could lead to customer dissatisfaction because they'd see something in the image and then they get something else. So, do you think that control is now there to make sure that it represents what it has to?
My honest answer is I'm not sure yet. Um, from what I've seen, I would say no, but that's because we haven't perfected it. And I think that there are definitely caveats to be had around this, say, AI rendering that we could look at exploring to not be a technical representation, but more a visual mood board kind of feel for the kitchen. But we will have a software that can be referred to for the exact millimeter dimensions of every cabinet, exactly how it's specified. So we wouldn't have that disconnect between what someone thinks they're getting and what they would get, because what they would sign off paperwork wise would not be the AI'd, potentially altered imagery.
Perfect. And there's obviously you guys are not exactly e-commerce, but you're very strongly online led. And
Yes,
there's this theme and a saying in e-commerce recently that that people are the new technological debt. So is the people is the most expensive element in the e-com business or a consumer business. And
sure.
there are founders who are dreaming of having virtually no teams, and the dream of setting up a unicorn brand with just one person in there and all technology. We're yet to see that happen. But what's your opinion about this? And obviously, furniture is such a unique beast. Do you see jobs being replaced by technology in full, or maybe in a very vast percentage?
Um, I think specific to our business and our kind of growth stage and vision and our targets, no. But what it should do is massively increase our productivity. And so in the long run, it it may reduce it won't reduce our head count, but it would have reduced our predicted head count if you took AI out of that equation, because of those productivity gains. And so the way that I see it for us is very much as a complementary aid and tool for everyone to use, but I can't see it replacing anyone. And I'm probably too much of an idealist, but I don't really want to have to be in that position either.
And how are your team responding to you obviously being a huge advocate of AI and the use of it? Some people and some, especially some professions, are quite resistant to it. What's your team like?
I think we have a very open minded team, and I think human nature is to be resistant to change, and so as you know, as leading the business, we have to be very conscious of that and get the change management right. I'd say people want to explore what it's capable of. They are definitely they need to be very convinced that the results are good and consistent with everything that you talked about before. So they need to have that kind of buy-in factor. And from a top-down level, I think once you can show those results and show the consistency, then people become a little bit more comfortable with it. So I'd say we're not we're not meeting any kind of hard resistance, but definitely there has to be some kind of win over for that buy-in.
Oh, that's great. And what is your key focus for 2026? Obviously, you have a massive vision for the business. Can you tell us a little bit about not only next year, but maybe the last 5 years? Where do you want to take the next 5 years? Where do you want to take the business, and where do you see you as a team?
So so our 10-year goal from last year, so now 9 years away, is to become the biggest bespoke furniture business in the UK, and the ultimate household brand that's kind of synonymous with bespoke and luxury living. Um, how that plays into next year, it's really a continuation of our growth strategy, that's been in place for the last 3 years. I ironically, and we can see this, but I ironically think people want to come in and visit a physical touch point, a showroom. They want to meet a real human, a designer, develop that interpersonal relationship to work on a project at great expense as well with some of our projects. And so developing that kind of roadmap with showrooms, we're going to be opening our Cambridge showroom, and again working and seeing all of the results from that, and the local demographic, and does that unlock us into that Cambridgeshire market, and how that can be replicated across other parts of the country.
And so, what's the key focus for next year? Key focus area, maybe, or a goal?
Key focus, let me think. I'd say, I mean, the key focus, which maybe it's not specific to the year, our key focus is always the customer. Customer obsessed. And so, I mean, that remains constant. I wonder for next year.
You move so fast. Maybe.
There's just lots of projects coming online, being executed the whole time. I'd really like to further push naked designs, our other rooms of the house offering, and give that a lot of attention. We've opened the showroom adjacent to our naked kitchens showroom on the Fulham Road in Chelsea, and that's pretty much all finished now. There are a couple of other displays, and we want to open naked bathrooms as well downstairs with a collection of vanity units. So that side, I'd say, is going to be one of the main focus areas for this year.
And if you think about the whole sector, what do you think we should expect happening this year on a sort of global scale? And especially thinking about marketing and customer acquisition, and from that side of things, what do you think is happening or is about to happen?
Uh, I think there is going to be an element of last man standing. I think we can see a lot of people are in pretty tough situations at the moment, and some are already being tipped off the edge. I can see that playing out for a few other brands. Unfortunately, through well, no fault of their own really, but just the macroeconomic conditions and the headwinds and the change in how customers work. I mean, we've seen Wren Kitchens. I think they were established in 2009, and then they're a billion pound kitchen, bedrooms as well, but kitchen business. And so they've kind of dominated that space and have probably pushed out a lot of the smaller retail shops in what would have been your local town, have now kind of gone to your Wrens. Um, so I think it is going to be, unfortunately, it's going to be a very tough year. We are going to see uh, lots of brands go into administration. With that, there's an awful lot of opportunity, but I think the focus this year just has to be very intense.
Mhm. And thinking about the business and where you're going to take it across the next few years, what do you see as the biggest value in the team and the business right now, and how are you developing it?
I would probably go back to the AI point there
Mhm.
as an area that I see as the greatest potential value, and one that needs a really strong strategy and time, with everything that we kind of talked about before, because we've had a couple of people join the business who are very familiar with using AI, and already you can see just how differently their workflows operate and how efficient they are in areas that now I've adopted with certain aspects of the business that you would never know about. And so I see tremendous opportunity in understanding and exploring that further with every update and all of these AI softwares, and seeing just where we really should be adopting it.
Any sort of software that you've recently discovered that helps productivity on in a, I don't know, very surprising area? Anything you might want to share that surprised you?
I mean, our tech development team are using Cursor and have just said that the time savings that they're now having against, well, not even 5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe to a factor of two. And again, for us, the level of projects that we have for the next year is just incredibly exciting to think that we should be able to get those done in half the time that it would have taken um, even a year ago.
Okay. And obviously, Naked has been started by your parents quite a long
Yes,
time
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
But if you were to start it from scratch now, would you have done anything differently? Obviously, it's a long time ago that the business started. The world is very different. But if you were to start, or say, let's imagine a situation, and touch wood, it never happens, but Naked doesn't exist, and you want to start from scratch. How would you do this? How would you go about doing this?
Um, well, I probably wouldn't be in the UK. Probably would really explore options to not run a business in the UK for a matter of different reasons. But if it was in the UK, I think I would have come down to London sooner, and been here with a showroom for our customers. We used to have lots of customers come up to Norfolk, and we're very lucky with the Norfolk coast. Everyone is very familiar with it, and a little escape for a long weekend to Norfolk, and then to see our factory and showroom up there did work. But we've seen just the business be transformed by having a showroom in central London.
So that physical location and physical proximity has changed the business
Definitely.
in a massive way. Okay, and one last question for me. So if you're looking at the sector, but broadly furniture and homewares, which brands inspire you right now? Who do you think is doing an amazing job, and in what area?
Oh, interesting. I probably focus on this more from a commercial sense.
Yeah.
So would say someone like Howdens, I find just incredible. The way that how consistent they are in their growth and their network of now over, I think, 800 showrooms and stores, and the way I think they're building the biggest furniture manufacturing facility throughout this year. I find that incredibly an inspirational story, and being a PLC as well, it's just incredibly impressive to run such a huge business at that scale so profitably and so successfully.
And what about brands? Which brands inspire you from the perspective of just brand strategy and how they make customers feel? Are there
Um,
things that you look up to or
I
secretly
think
follow?
um, I think Pookie have been really incredible over the last few years, and their success story is just insane. I mean, all of my friends probably have a collection of at least half a dozen of their lamps. Yeah, I would probably say that that
Pookie.
success story has been amazing, and the brand and the way it carries itself is very admirable.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this with me, and it's been incredible to hear it from you. I don't think that I heard some of these stories before, and we've known each other for quite a while, so it's been amazing. And thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Magda. Thank you very much for having me.